Okay, so this will be a little bit forced, but hello everyone, my name is Lubo, and today I'm gonna talk about a couple of things I have learned and we have learned while building a community at the Deepnote. But before we start, let me actually ask you these strange questions. And that's, how many of you have ever seen Formula One race? Can I see your hands? Wow, okay, so we have a couple of potential racers here, that's good. That's actually really good, because, sorry. My 5+1, my +1 is actually gonna be about Formula One and about the racing. So I'm really happy that we are on the same boat. Before we jump actually into the racing and into the concrete tips and tricks which I prepared for you, I really wanted to talk to you who are the people in our community, as well as who are the people actually in Deepnote community. And for that, I would like you to meet Katie. Katie is like a typical representative of our community. In other words, you can call her a community advocate. Katie graduated in data science. She did her minor in Stanford, as well as she's currently working in Dataloop, which is a data science company. And looking at her stack, she's normally used to work with Python, SQL. She's really good at storytelling and so on. Why is it important? I really want you to understand and to be on the same page who are the people in our community for the context of the presentation. And now we can actually go ahead and talk about the concrete learnings. So, learning number one is actually, we have been hearing it from the beginning, and it's something which I will be repeating, but be clear on the purpose of your community. This is something which we are talking super seriously, and how we approach it in Deepnote is by asking ourselves those three questions. First question is, who is my community? So in case of the Katie is a data scientist working currently in the startup. Second question is, why do they want to be a part of the community? In context of the Katie, we can see that there are two main objectives and two main benefits for Katie to being in our community. First one is actual learning, because she wants to learn new data science practices. And second one is networking with others. And number three, you really always need to understand and have a shared purpose between you and between the community and between the members. For us, it's understanding the Katie's needs so we can actually make the product better. And by understanding her needs, we can shape our product to actually fit in a better market fit. And when you are able to answer all these three questions, it's not visible, but I will read it for you. It will bring you to your basis for your mission statement. So it could look something like this. Our community brings together who, so in our case it's Katie. Why? Because she wants to learn as well as she wants to network in our community. So together we can do what? We can actually improve what we love, and that's actually data science. Learning number two, which is quite controversial, because we have been always like seeing that communities are great and every single company needs community, but I would like to maybe question it right here. If you are not sure and you don't have actually answers for those three questions which I previously mentioned, then it's maybe a good time to reevaluate whether you actually need your community in your company. So just briefly, in Deepnote, we had those main ideas. One was networking, which is working great. Secondly, we really wanted to increase our brand awareness via the community, which eventually can lead to improvement of the signups. Then, thanks to the community webpage and thanks to the community page, there is a great improvement of SEO, because people are basically putting their projects on this page, and it helps us to improve the SEO, as well as the main idea was to get some data science partners and basically stay in the same environment. And then it brings me to learning number three, which is always build your community with people, not for people. I think this is something which we have been struggling quite a lot. At the beginning, we tried to actually take this as an intellectual exercise at the Deepnote. So we did a lot of designing, a lot of strategizing, as well as a lot of push activities. But I think this is not the case. When you're actually thinking about your community, it's not like, hey, I do have my community, come contribute. It's more about, hey, this is the topic which we have the shared interest in. Do you want to contribute, and do you want to actually share something which you know and learn together? And how you can actually do it, and how can you build your community with people and not for people. I really like this quite simple framework, which is circulating about those two words, who and why. So this is coming from the book Get Together. Does anyone knows that book? Or okay. Okay, we have one person. That's great. So, highly recommending this book, which is about community building and about frameworks and so on. So, I will just briefly walk you through it. Do you know who are the people in your community? If you don't know it, maybe research them and put them to your Rolodex, or in other words, make actually their appearance in your CRM system. If you do know it, who they are, then it's great. You can move to actually the second question, which is, do you know why they keep showing up? If you don't know it, simply ask. If you do, keep it rolling. So building a community, as you can see, it's just like a circling motion between those two questions. And that brings me to learning number 4. When you actually know who are your people, as well as why they keep showing up, and in the best case scenario, you have the shared purpose between your company as well as the community and community members, then it's a great place and that's a great time to actually put them together and find the right platform for your community to gather in. So on the left side, you can see a couple of examples of the concrete platforms which we evaluate in the past. One which I think is quite worth looking into is actually Orbit, a great new platform which came like just recently. So here, quick recommendation. And in Deepnote, we actually used to have Slack, but currently we are on Circle. Two main reasons for that. Circle had a high embeddability into the Deepnote core product. So that was something which we used. People could actually go to Deepnote and create any sort of analysis or content, and then they can post it on the Circle. And second important thing was basically Circle for us was great for content hosting and enabling us for the documentation and so on. Awesome. So this is how it actually looks like. So we have maybe one learning which I would like to give you here is that KISS principle. So we have learned that having multiple channels and having tens and tens of channels in your Slack community or Circle community is worth it. So what I'm suggesting is KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, right? Everyone knows. And we have those 6 channels. We have channels for introduction, where people briefly introduce themselves, tell us where they are coming from, what they are working currently on. Then Q&A, great place to actually for your community to ask questions regarding your product. Thirdly, show and tell, sell improvements because people are willing to share what they are building, as well as getting comments from people, and this is some sort of like an organic movement. Then we have announcements, great place for releases. So this is another way how we informing our users about upcoming feature releases or about new features, so on. Product suggestions, PMs love it because it helps them to evaluate whether their roadmap is actually in the right place. And then we have this water cooler, and honestly, I really don't know what it is, but I have seen pretty weird pictures there. So yeah, I think really not going into details. Learning number 5, which we have learned, and that's we have learned it quite a hard way, and that's actually a tracking of your community success is extremely tricky. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you, and I don't know how to track, and we don't still know how to track your community success. But the main idea of this is basically you have your page, where is your community. You also have people who love your platform. You have people who love to drink beer for your money, right? And then you also have people who wear your merch. I love the strong message with the merch here. It's amazing. Some Twitter fans and so on. But the key question is, how do you actually evaluate and measure the business impact towards your product and towards your company? Unfortunately, as I said, I don't have the answer for this. But I can tell you how we used to measure it in the past. At the top, you can see some basic mission statement, which we established at the beginning of the Q1 2022. But I really wanted to focus on the targets. In the past, we tried to measure our community success via those targets, number of conferences, number of podcasters, as well as number of people on our community page. We try to measure their engagement. We try to measure actually whether they comment and whether they like each other and so on. New partnerships, as you can see, and so on. But as I said, I don't have an answer for you, and none of this worked for us. So I'm more than happy to grab a beer if we have some tracking experts here afterwards and tell me how it's done. And now, the thing which you have been all waiting for, and that's the racing part. It's my +1 of this talk. So now, sixth learning is actually that get comfortable with the fact when you are building your community, there are no shortcuts and neither growth hacks when you are doing it. You cannot buy your community numbers. You cannot just go there and say, hey, we're gonna copy this strategy which others are doing. You cannot dose that. It will not work. And neither you can expect that the strategy which you set up at the beginning will be actually working during the whole process of the whole community lifecycle. So I like to leave you here with just the simple message, and that I believe that community building, it's like building a company inside of another company. That was me. Thank you so much for your attention, and here's just a list of cool people who I believe are worth following in the community space. And thank you for your attention.